Okay, good morning students.
Morning, sir.
I hope you all are fine.
Fine.
Today I am going to teach you English for class 12th and a poem called Our Cashew Nut Tree. It was written by Toru Dutt. So before going to the poem, let us see about the author introduction. So here, Toru Dutt was born in 1856 and died in 1877. She was born in 1856 and died in 1877. She was a Bengali poet who wrote English and French. She was the third daughter of her family. She was taught by an excellent English tutors for a long time and stayed at Europe and England. Her collections of poems are Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan. The second one is Chief Gleader in French Fields. And the third one is Our Cashew Nut Tree. So the first one is Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan. And the second one is Chief Gleader in French Fields. And the third one is Our Cashew Nut Tree. The second one is Chief Gleader in French Field. It was written in 1875. Okay. The summary of the poem. I am sure that you will definitely recall your childhood life through this great poem called Our Cashew Nut Tree. The poet recalls a childhood life through this poem Cashew Nut Tree, and she gives us intense yearning for the playmates who are no more alive. And the next point is the cashew nut tree is a center of busy birds and bees. And the last one is the lines stands as a symbolic representation of poet's past memory. So in the summary, we have to notice 3 points. The first one is childhood memories of Toru Dutt, and the second point is the poem gives intense yearning for the playmates who are no more alive, and the last point is the tree stands as a symbolic representation of Toru's past memory life. Okay, now let us go to the poem. So in this poem, the Cashew Nut Tree, there are 5 stanzas. Each stanza consists of 11 lines. So now I am going to teach you the first stanza. So before that, we can divide this first stanza into 2 parts. Okay. Like a huge python winding round and round, the rugged trunk intended deep with scars, up to its very summit near the stars, a creeper climbs in whose embraces bound, no other tree could live. So here, like a huge python, So in this poem, the poet compares the creepers to the huge python. The word python means non-venomous snake, like a huge python winding round and round, the rugged trunk indented deep with scars. So there was a cashew nut tree in a poet's garden. So it was covered with, it was winding with the creepers, intended deep with scars. Because of that winding, there was a scars. The word scars means dark marks. The word scars means dark marks. So in the first line, the poet compares the climbers to the huge python. So like a huge python. So there is a comparison between two things. We can identify the comparison by the word like. So here the figure of speech is simile. Up to its very summit near the stars, a creeper climbs in whose embraces bound. So here the climbers means the creepers which are going the ground level. So here the cashew nut tree which was winding around by the climbers up to its very summit near the stars. From bottom to top of the cashew nut tree, the climbers were winding around the tree, and the tree looks like touching the stars. A creeper climbs in whose embraces bound. So here creepers climbs around the cashew nut tree whose embraces, the word embraces means, can say hug or hold, or we can say adapt. Embraces means hug, or we can say hold, or we can say adapt. So the creeper climbs in whose embraces bound, no other tree could live. So here, because of the climbers winding around the tree, it was a very big burden for the cashew nut tree. But here the poet says, no other tree could live. I mean, no other tree cannot bear the burden given by the climbers, but the cashew nut tree, it accepts all the burdens given by the climbers. That's why the next line says, but gallantly. Here the word gallantly means bravely or boldly. The tree stands bravely, or we can say boldly. The giant wears the scarf and flowers are hung. So the next line, the poet compares the cashew nut tree to the giant. The word giant means we can say very big or very huge one. Because the climbers are winding around the cashew nut tree. That's why the poet says here the cashew nut tree as a giant. So the giant wears the scarf. So the tree looks like wearing the scarf, and flowers are hanging from the tree. In crimson clusters all the boughs among. So here the word crimson clusters means dark red flowers. So the tree is covered with dark red flowers, all the boughs among. Here the word boughs means branches. The crimson cluster signs dark red color flowers are covered with the branches of the cashew nut tree, whereon all day are gathered bird and bee. All the day, day and night, all the bees and the birds are gathered in the cashew nut tree. and of the nights the garden overflows. During the night time, the garden was overflows with the sweet song and sweet sound of the birds and bees. With one sweet song that seems to have no close. So the song have no end because the birds are continuously going on making sounds. So the sound looks like a very sweet song. There is no end or no close for the songs of the sweet birds. Sun darkling from our tree while men repose. So here the word darkling means we can say brightening or shining. The tree looks like a shining tree, and while men repose during the night time, the word repose means a state of sleep. We can say rest or we can say sleep. During the night time, all the people were taking rest. At that time, they can hear, they can enjoy the sweet song sung by the birds and the sweet sound made by the bees. So, all these activities in the garden, the poetess Torud that noticed through his casement, and she also recalled her childhood life. That's why in the summary we saw it is an intensive description of the poet's childhood life. Okay, so this is all about the first stanza. So we have to revise few things, few difficult words. I mean, python means non-venomous snake, scarce means dark marks, embraces means hug, hold or adapt, gallantly means bravely or boldly, boughs means branches, and repose means a state of rest or we can say sleep. Okay, remaining part of the poem we can see in the next class. Thank you.